Welcome, everybody, to the Leadership Tea podcast, where you know that we are going to always bring to you real talk about what it means to lead and the lessons we wish we had learned along the way before we reached senior leadership roles. And today we wanted to delve into an interesting topic in along this theme of mental health and what it means and the dealing with the pressures of leading, pivoting, and just trying to kind of make your way through this professional space. So we wanted to talk about the changes that we have in our own lives and what we're experiencing, what we are doing, and how we are navigating the emotional ups and downs that go along with that, and how we are hoping to support our community during this really dynamic time where people across industries are also feeling this pinch. So we'll start maybe by talking a bit about what Shelby's doing. Then we have a really exciting event coming up that I think could be useful and helpful to many of our listeners that we want to share with you. And then I'll bring some insights about what I am doing in my own business and why I'm making the changes that I'm making and how it's affecting me and how I'm making it through that as well. So, Shelby, if you don't mind, I'd love to start with you. And I think maybe a good place to start is to understand the changes that you have experienced this summer. It's been a really, I want to say, just eventful
Yeah,
summer for you and your family.
for
And
sure.
there's been good times, there's been bad times, but you're still here, you're standing. And so maybe we can start by talking a little bit about that.
Yeah. Thanks, Belinda. And first, I got to say, we always talk about having community and having a village. And I'm just really thankful to have you in my village. You've been a huge support for me over the past few months, which, as you mentioned, have been quite challenging for me on a personal level. Which is why I'm glad that we have this space. We have this platform to be able to share our personal experiences in hopes that it will help others who may be navigating similar situations. Um, and as we think about this season and what we want to talk about, what we one of the focus points that we want to center on has to do with mental health. Um, and how we are personally navigating difficult moments in our lives. And I'll share with our audience, with our listeners that, I've been navigating a significant personal and professional hurdle in that I was laid off. This career that I built over, 25 plus years, actually 26 years by the time that this podcast episode airs. I was laid off from what was a very meaningful, impactful, successful, at least on paper, successful career. Um, and having to figure out where to go from here. I had already been thinking about potentially retiring and transitioning into something else, but the shock to my nervous system, to my emotional well-being, um, to just my overall identity, it was, it was unsettling. It was unnerving. And, for the past few months, I've been trying to process what happened, as well as figure out what my next is. Because as we've said in previous episodes, you don't want to wallow in the negativity when bad things happen, as they do to all of us. You don't want to stay in this space of negativity or scarcity. You want to grieve what's happening and then figure out a way to move on. And so I would say for the past few months, it's been a process of grieving, but also trying to figure out, okay, how do I pick myself up and dust myself off and move on to the next thing. And we can talk about, that process in detail in a future episode. But apart from, navigating this next thing, whatever my next will be, um, I have been focused on my business. I've officially launched my business. It's called the Findall Collaborative. Thank you. Um, and I'm happy to say that for the first time, I have paid clients. For the majority of my career, I've been coaching pro bono, even up until recently, even with the State Department, coaching people pro bono. And for the first time, I'm getting paid to offer what I think is an invaluable service. And I'm really trying to focus on what comes natural to me, which is what I call holistic coaching, where you blend, the professional with the personal, even when you're talking about what it takes to be an executive, what it takes to be a successful executive, but also just like what does it take to be effective as a leader. I'm a firm believer that you have to combine the personal with the professional in order to get like the right mix, the right combination of everything that you bring to the table. And so that's one of the things that I am emphasizing in my coaching business. It's really beyond just leadership coaching. It's holistic coaching, which is kind of a blend of everything. Um, and I'm also expanding my network. One of my three words for the year, which was something we talked about in the last season. One of my three words was to expand. And so I am looking to expand my network, and I'm thankful to have been recruited as an expert on it's like a social digital platform that was designed by another woman entrepreneur, and it's called Fem Factor. F is in Frank, EMME, Fem Factor, and we can put notes about it in the show notes. But it's essentially a digital platform designed for mid-career women who are in transition or who want career advice. And so I'm really excited to be a part of this initiative because, as you and I have discussed many times, Belinda, we are, committed to women's empowerment. Women supporting women is something something we've both dedicated, the majority of our careers to. And so this is an exciting kind of next step in my personal chapter in trying to really focus on the things that bring me joy and the things that I'm passionate about. So I'm really excited about that. I'll be giving a talk with the network in October, and we can leave more details about that in the show notes. But those are some of the things that I'm working on. And then of course there is this wonderful event that you and I are planning, which is something else that we've been working on for the past several weeks. So maybe I'll kick it back to you to talk about what we've got brewing at the Salamander.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, first I just want to acknowledge that I know that we're gonna at some point when you're ready really talk about what this summer has been like and how you've made this transition. And it's ongoing. It's
Yeah,
not like you're just suddenly like, well, that
right.
happened.
Yeah, yeah. For sure.
Not at
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
But I just want to acknowledge that like it's hard. Like it's hard. And it's hard to balance things happening directly to you, still needing to be responsible
mm,
and move forward while still feeling like just everything around you is just on fire and
yeah,
part. Like, where do you turn? Who
yeah.
do you
Literally.
call? Like, it's just a really challenging time to be navigating the things that you're navigating. So I
Yeah.
know that it can be up and down and you can feel pulled in different directions. And I think a lot of people do. I know I do
Hmm.
some days. And I just want to acknowledge that I think that's fair and that's valid. And there are no easy answers to getting out of that.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And as you would say, community is clutch, and that's why you need community, which
Yes.
leads back to our event at the Salamander. So first, I want to clarify, we're going to start saying salamander, salamander, salamander. For
Hmm.
those of you in the Mid-Atlantic or who are familiar with the Salamander brand, this is a actually a series of luxury hotels and resorts. I think that Sheila Johnson owns, right? That around all over the US and I think the Caribbean as well.
Hmm.
We're talking about Salamander Middleburg. So for people in the DMV, don't think it's not Salamander, DC. Salamander Middleburg, Virginia, the flagship
Hmm.
place. So here's what we were thinking earlier this summer. Just like there's a lot going on, right? Like I can't turn on my social media or the news or like anything without being bombarded with things that kind of send my nervous system into a frenzy.
Hmm.
And we don't have all the answers on how to fix it, but what we think we can do is help people create space to take a moment, take a beat, and take a deep breath, surrounded by other professionals who are trying to navigate this right now, and just take a breath. We're calling it repose, a day of reflection. Just rest for a moment. Think strategically for a moment, but not under pressure.
Hmm.
Network a little bit. Meet some people with different ideas. And it's going to be an ongoing theme I think you hear from us throughout the season, throughout. It's just network, meet new people, get exposed to new ideas, be pragmatic, be strategic. And that's what this event is designed to do. And one day we cannot solve all of our own individual or the world's problems. But in one day, what we can do is have a moment of community and respite and focus, right? So what will be happening at Repose? Well, it will start mid-morning. So you're gonna have breakfast. And okay, one thing we should say for people who don't know the salamander, any of the salamanders, like the food.
Listen. Woo!
It's
I'm a
top.
foodie and I don't mind paying for good food, and we guarantee
It's top.
that
It's
the
top.
menu is spectacular and the quality of, yeah, the meal will be on point.
And if people who are foodies
Mhm.
follow Salamander, you know that each August they host a major food festival at Salamander Middleburg. This is a hotel that, or resort, I should say, that really prides itself on understanding, and it's in wine country, right? Like they are really thinking about spaces and food and quality and delivering a great experience. So
Mhm.
we have a private room and a private patio. You'll come in, we will have a seated breakfast that's going to be incredibly yummy. We are going to take a bit of time to get to know each other in the room. And there are only going to be a few of us, y'all. This is not going to be like for like hundreds of people. This is trying to keep the group very small, very intimate to make sure that you leave the experience feeling like you got to know people and you got to share and exchange ideas.
Yeah.
But we'll have opportunities to network, we'll have opportunities to reflect, we'll have opportunities to think. We also want to give you time to enjoy the resort. So you'll have a break, probably around 90 minutes,
Mhm.
to go to the spa. They have one of the best spas in the Mid-Atlantic. You could walk around the resort. They have lots of different activities that you could, from walking along like a wooded path where they'll give you a basket and you can pick berries and
Mhm.
fruits calmly, to just walking in the woods, fishing, riding a horse, whatever it is you want to do. It's probably there.
Yeah.
So you'll have an opportunity to experience and enjoy some of those activities. And then you'll come back. We'll have high tea. Their high tea is one of the best, right?
That's the part I'm really looking
You
forward
know,
to,
and
right?
it wouldn't be the leadership team if there was not some tea.
Exactly. Just
Um,
saying.
and not the best tea. And we will have so we'll have this high tea, and we'll also have more opportunities again to have some facilitated conversations in which we're reflecting, we are planning, we are networking, and we will wind down our day, right? This isn't meant to stress you out. This isn't meant to make you feel like you're doing the most. You should walk away from this event feeling refreshed and hopeful and focused and tied in with the community,
Yeah.
right? I mean, would you agree, Shelby?
Absolutely. I think, one of the things that we've heard a lot from you all, but also just thinking about our own intuition and our own sixth sense, if you will, that there's a need for people to come together. Like we can do podcast episodes, we can have virtual spaces. I think as a result of the pandemic, we've all learned how to conduct ourselves in virtual spaces.
Yeah.
We've been Zoom meeting to death. And I think, there's a time and place for all of that. And the virtual world serves its purpose, but sometimes you just need to be in person with people. Sometimes you need that extra human connection, and that is an aspect of repose that I'm looking forward to. It's something that Belinda and I have been talking about. When it comes to building community, how can we do it in a way that's very authentic and intentional and purposeful? And we're hoping that this first event will be the first of many, as we seek to continue being of service to all of you, to this community that we're building in the virtual space. How do we make that even more impactful? That's one of the things that we've been thinking about.
100%. 100%. So, look, one thing that we should note is that, again, it will be a rather small group. We probably saw that we have been talking about this in our social media spaces and discussing it throughout the summer. And we asked for people who were interested initially to share their information with us, and we would provide an opportunity for them to have early access to tickets. By the time you see this episode, that early access will have ended. And I can already tell you where we are is that for the tickets that remain, you probably don't want to sit on this.
Yeah.
Uh, there aren't that many remaining. So when you see this, I would encourage you to follow the link that we'll include in the show notes and to go to our Eventbrite and go ahead and sign up. I You guys know that when we build something, we build it with intentionality. We build it we're just very mindful and deliberate about the way that we approach it.
Mhm.
This is really meant to pour into you. And so please do reach out to us if you have any questions about it. But I would really encourage you to consider it. And I would encourage you to act soon so that you get some of the remaining tickets. And the tickets will remain at a general admission price through September, but starting in October, the price will increase. So please do act soon for what's left, if we have anything even left to sell in
I
October.
was gonna say, hopefully
I
by
was like, hopefully,
October,
we're
it'll
pretty
be
close.
sold out. That's the
So,
goal.
like, accent. The room is small,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes.
Right. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking
I do
forward to it.
too. I do too.
I've
I
really
am
been
too.
motivated by the reaction to it and how
Yeah,
excited people are,
yeah.
um, which I guess is
Same.
reflected in the ticket sales. But like it, and I just think that means that we're going to bring people together who really do want to that build that sense of community and do really want that moment of repose.
Yeah, yep,
Mm.
for sure. So speaking of pouring into people, um, I think we can wrap this up by hearing from you. How have you been pouring into yourself? What has Belinda
Oh,
been up to during the past couple of months?
girl.
I know a lot, but as usual.
Yeah, overscheduled as usual.
Yeah.
So I think that I've reached a phase in my development as a founder and an entrepreneur of really stepping into my freedom. But with that comes a great deal of anxiety
Mm.
and joy.
Hmm.
So I have all, right, I'm multi-passionate. I have all these things that I'm working on, right?
Hmm.
And so finally I feel free enough to, right, I feel really passionate about we talk about communities clutch, communities clutch, communities clutch, communities clutch, but like I really live it,
Yeah.
mean it when I say it. And so I have a lot of feelings about what is happening, things that are happening in my community.
Hmm.
So one thing I've been able to do in the last few months is really get involved in my community. I finally feel settled. I finally feel a part of this space. I finally
Hmm.
feel like I have something to offer the community. And I feel for the first time in a long time, maybe ever in my adult life, that I am able, I'm allowed, right? I'm not restricted
Yeah.
from pouring into my community. So I've been doing a lot of things related to that. I've been working with a lot of really smart, talented, great people like you on a lot of collaborations and projects and things together, right? And so that's been really great. Um, on the flip side of that, I've been building up my coaching, business and now have, a couple dozen clients and yeah, no,
Yes.
things are great on that end. But I've been troubled about some patterns that I've seen, like more broadly in the market, that are driving me to think differently about where I see or where I'd like to serve people in the future, right?
Mm.
So what I see more broadly as I work with my clients on really thinking through their next steps in their career, whether that's because of a layoff or because they quit or they were fired, or they just think that in a couple of years they'd like to make a change. Maybe they want a promotion. Who knows? There's a lot of different ways of defining that. But what I'm seeing is that the ways in which we were taught to think about pivoting, just dust off your resume and send it around and just, even the modern ways of like, just go on
Yeah.
ChatGPT, just like make it change your resume and then apply to things. Like
Mm-mm.
it's not working.
No.
Right? I got my hypothesis on like why it's not working, but like it's not
Hmm.
to the extent that there's something working, it is when I'm able to connect people to each other.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm talking about like my clients, like client A to client B. You guys have some stuff in common. I think you could help each other, have a chat.
Yeah.
Great things happen, right? When I help a client understand that like life might be handing you lemons, but there's something happening in the world right now
Mm.
that lemonade isn't going to cut it. You got to take those lemons and turn them into something else.
Yeah.
Limoncello,
Right.
like,
Take
like,
those lemon seeds and plant them,
right,
something.
sweet tea and lemonade, like
Lemon
some,
slushies.
right? But it ain't just plain old lemonade.
No.
You have to think completely outside of the box.
Hmm.
That is what I think I want to help people do is say like, I know that there's a lot of people out here in these streets telling you like, I have a six-step system to help you do. I don't know if systems are
Yeah.
working anymore.
Yeah.
Things are weird. So
Yeah.
here's what I have going on. And I should say I'm trying to implement this, like bringing it back to our theme of mental health. while for me, balancing all of this community stuff I'm doing, which is deeply emotional,
Mhm.
and while also being very affected by, my daughter goes to school in the district and just being very affected by the things that are affecting her
Yeah.
school experience. So that's very distracting and very emotionally draining, right?
Yeah.
Um, so with that said, though, what I'm trying to launch is something that I'm calling the Clarity Lab. Because, and why like lab? Because, like I said, something's up in the air, something's different. I will not guarantee for you that, like, if you do A, B, and C, it's perfect. But what I can say is that if we all work together and pool our knowledge and kind of experiment, I think we can chart a path forward. We're gonna have to get in the lab though and mix it up.
Yeah.
So the lab could be defined simply as a group coaching program, but it's a little more than that.
Mhm.
It is, we would meet once a month for like 90 minutes to talk about a specific facilitated kind of topic. And I should say that I'd like to keep the cohorts, like these groups, to
Mhm.
10 to 15 people max, right? Like very small, so we all get to know each other and we can trust each other and we can share. But it's having this like 90-minute conversation, right? And then a couple weeks later, having what I'm calling like a 90-minute office hours conversation where we address topics that people are bringing to the table in the group.
Mhm.
Maybe we get to everybody, maybe only a couple of people have issues, but we all will help you think about something that you are challenged with right now on your pivot journey. And then I also want to have with us an online community. And I am the first person to roll their eyes at an online community. Like, what is it? I don't have time. I'll be logging into stuff. Like, is that going to get into my TikTok time? Like, no.
Right.
But here is what I am like experiencing in other ways and have seen work in other ways
Mhm.
I think would be helpful. One, we're gonna have homework. And the
Mm.
homework must be in, like, it must be posted in this group. And we must comment on each other's stuff. But the most important piece of all is that I have an expectation that each member of the group will each month have introduce themselves and have a side conversation,
Mhm.
offline, online, whatever, separate from me, and just get to know each other. Like have
Yeah.
30-minute virtual coffee. Like, I don't care.
Right.
Begin each month to get to know the people in the online community. It will probably take us about 6 months. I'm asking people for a 6-month commitment
Mhm.
to build that sense of community, but such magic happens from person A talks to person B and says, I know somebody who does the thing that you're interested in.
Mhm.
Oh, you're trying to get contracts to do XYZ. Well, I know this person who blah, 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 blah. And for people who are really just starting their pivot,
Yeah.
often their network is very narrow in a specific like industry. And what
Mhm.
I'm trying to do is hypercharge that broadening of it.
Yeah. It's like a multiplier effect.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
So people can find more information about it on my website. I can link to it in this. But that is what I'm trying to kick off. And it just feels like the world's changing so quickly. Like I don't want to sit on that. I'm actually incentivizing, and this will be on the site, but incentivizing people committing in September. I'd
Mhm.
really love to kick this off in October. So that's the goal. That's what I'm manifesting.
Love it.
My word, like I'm actually adding a word to
Okay.
recorder four, and that is recalibrate,
Mm.
right? And not in like sometimes people use recalibrate to say like something went wrong and we need to recalibrate. I'm
No.
just saying I've received more information,
Right.
received additional data, so I'm just gonna recalibrate.
Mhm.
Oh, you need more than running your resume through ChatGPT. Let's recalibrate.
Yeah.
Um, that is what I'm doing. to and on all the projects I'm working on, just
Mhm.
receive more data and more learning and more community and more connections over the summer. And just to get through the rest of the year,
Mhm.
slightly recalibrate.
I love it. I love the concept of the Clarity Lab. I love the way in which you're approaching it, to bring people together and to help people help each other. So I feel like we're in
Yeah.
this weird space where it sometimes it feels like the Hunger Games, where everyone is just like, oh, I gotta get in, I gotta, do my thing. It's all about me. I'm gonna work in my silo. I'm gonna be over here doing my thing. You get yours. And I know that that is not necessarily in the DNA of most people who live in the United States, but you and I have talked about this a lot. Like I just feel drawn to do something different, like what you're saying, and in terms of just bringing people together and to kind of, I don't know, approach life, approach problem sets in a different way. I just think you're onto something, and
Okay, thank you.
I look forward to hearing about. First of
Yeah,
all, I want to sign up. Like if I could afford it, if I weren't in the middle of my own
be awesome
transition,
for it.
I'd be like, okay, sign me up for the
Yeah,
Clarity Lab. But
yeah, no, no. I
I
feel
think it's going to be
like
great.
I don't understand why kindness feels radical right now.
Yeah, me either.
I just am like shocked. I'm just,
Mhm.
I just walk into spaces, things happen, and I'm like, what is the right thing to do? The moral, ethical, maybe even legal thing,
Mhm.
the plan B for everybody.
Yeah.
But me, like I'm confused.
Right. Right.
Why is to the extent that sometimes kindness is happening around me, it feels performative.
Yeah.
Or community, I should say, is happening around me.
Mhm.
It feels performative.
Mhm.
And that is jarring too. Like people are like, I am part of the community, but oh wait, did it get difficult? I'm actually busy. Right?
Yeah.
Like
Where are you when things get hard?
this
Where
was
are you when, like, push
it's a
comes to
whole
shove and yeah, people need you.
it is a whole episode about like we do you know how many leadership things I have been in where they have said, write down your values and you're like whatever.
Mhm.
When I wrote down my values, I meant it.
Right. Actually try and live them out on a daily
Try and live them out.
basis. Yeah.
And when things get hard, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to literally like middle school where my volleyball teacher, Mrs. Chambers, if you're listening, shout out, thank you. Mrs. Chambers, my volleyball coach, would say, what you do in practice, you do in the game, which you hear me say
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yep.
But also, she would always ask us, you should be thinking ahead to what would I do if the ball comes to me? When the ball comes to me, what am
Yeah.
I gonna do? Right?
Yeah.
That is how I approach life.
Yeah.
And so it's like I feel like the ball came. I'm sorry to get emotional about performative community. I just really right
Yeah.
now. I'm gonna wrap it up. Just the ball has come.
Mhm.
I pulled out my value statement and I'm like, cool. It's
Yep.
game day. Let's
It's
go.
game. Right. Right. Right.
And I don't feel like I almost made a video. I still might do this. I almost made a video and put it on social media just to ask people to DM me and tell me, what are you doing to help people?
Mm.
What are you doing, yeah, to make the
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
because I just I
Yeah.
don't know, is everybody secretly writing checks and not talking about like I won't judge what you're doing. I
Mhm.
just what are
Just
you doing?
curious. Yeah.
Because it feels like we need community and I don't feel like so I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna start one.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do these things over here to be kind.
Yeah, what's that saying? Be the change you want to see?
Boom. Model what you want. It's like literally a look, leadership values, going back to this, I like to model what I would like to see.
Okay.
That's actually, look at us, living our
Look
values.
at us living our values. Living our values. Yes. I mean, I've had to, have those conversations with myself, especially in the past few weeks. Like, okay, this is what you said. Even in listening to some of our previous, leadership tea episodes, I've had to remind myself of the advice, that we've been giving to other people and having to, take a dose of my own medicine. It's been a humbling experience. That's to say the least. But
I understand. You're doing an amazing job.
anyway, thank you. Likewise.
Hmm.
Likewise.
Okay, well, I feel like this wraps it up. This is what we're doing, team.
What we're doing.
This is we are navigating just like y'all are,
Yeah.
and we are really sitting back thinking like the world moves fast, so we have a plan for the season, but we adjust it,
Yes.
as we feel like our audience needs change. But we are focused this season on respecting that you can come to a leadership space with a plan. The world can throw you a curveball, and it can be tough, and it can be hard, and it can be isolating, it can be lonely, but there are tools to manage it.
Mhm.
And you aren't the first person to face this, and we want to show you examples of that many leaders go through this, and let's get their best answers on how they navigated it
Yeah. And let's overcome it together.
together, right?
Yeah.
So check out the show notes for info on everything we discussed, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode.
Yeah. Thank you for joining. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.